songs before we get back into the after the promo.
All right. See, now they heard you, man. So that was Jay. That was not me, people. That was Jay. He's a bad boy. I am sweet and innocent. We'll be right back. You're listening to UFO Undercover with Joe and Jay, and we'll be right back.
Hi, and thank you all for joining us today.
The Church of Mavis radio show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, You don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Oh, well, thank you for welcoming me there, Natasha. That was very sweet of you. Nice to hear from you and all that good, wonderful bump, happy duty stuff. Welcome, everyone, to UFO Undercover. I hope everyone's having a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. As you can see, it's in the background tonight. Actually, there's several planets in the background. See a little guy walking on one over there. I hope everyone really is having a great day. A lot of stuff going on in the world, but most of which we can't talk about on this show.
It's Friday show.
Right. News on the flip side on Fridays. We talk about that kind of stuff. Yes, like I got 3 comments all about somebody who did a speech today. No, we can't talk about her. I'm sorry. Unless she's an alien abductee, which see, I would think the aliens would throw her back. Really. They're not into losers. I'm just saying they're not into losers. But anyway, enough of that. Hey Neil, how you doing? People remember, I know a lot of y'all like to write me via my messenger, but you can get us on YouTube and on Facebook and on Rumble and on, well, Roku don't have a chat stream. I actually wrote to them about that one time, and they were saying, we're a TV network. We don't have a chat stream. That's like...
Right, and it tells us on this side. It puts a little symbol under each person's little avatar or picture, what platform they're coming. So Neil's on YouTube right now.
Jimmy, what do you mean? What kind of coffee? Oh, I can't say. They're not a sponsor of the network yet. Shh, you're gonna get me in trouble with Michelle. Now stop it.
But just trust that it's a good kind of.
It's a good coffee. The Folgers sponsors our network. Well, they sponsor the Outer Realm both Wednesday and Thursday. Folgers, and I generally do drink Folgers Black Silk coffee. But believe it or not, where I was today, they didn't have it, and I needed some coffee. And this is a good backup coffee. It's a really good coffee. I've been drinking this since I was a kid, but we can't mention her name. It's like Folgers. It's a New Orleans brand coffee. Why get coffees from all around the world?
Georgia.
Yeah. Hey, Georgia, Gene.
Oh no, GB, Great Britain. Yeah. Sorry, I'm blind without my glasses.
Yeah, see, I'm following Jay, and I'm not blind.
I saw a G and an A from Zinna.
I'm blind, but why bring all this fancy dancy coffee? I'm drinking coffee from Jamaica and Brazil and all over the world, really. But frankly,
all it is dried beans filtered through water.
Yeah, New Orleans coffee is the best. One, it's not wimpy, girly coffee, okay, or wimpy guy coffee, whatever you want to call it. It's not wimpy coffee. It's the kind of coffee that if you're a girl, you might have to shave your chest after you drink it. I'm just saying, it is. I like the style coffee. Well, I grew up drinking morning coffee, which is half coffee. It's half and half. It's half chicory and half coffee, and it will make your eyes roll back in your head. So when you get a cup, they steam whole milk, and they dump them in together, half coffee, half milk, and it's fabulous. And it'll still roll your eyes back in your head. It's like shooting 151 or something. It is. That's good. I love it. And with a good cream, it's even better. Carnation's got good creams. They also sponsor our network. Yes, on Monday night, they sponsor our whole entire Monday lineup. Yes, they're good people over there. They send me samples. Yes, I've got my favorite creams. And I've got my favorite coffees. Yes,
they got all kinds of different flavors.
Yes. Oh well, they got one called ice cream that I really like.
Yeah, that one's not bad.
And they got one called sweet cream that I really like. The Italian cream, I'm not as big a fan of. But anyway, we're supposed to be talking about alien abductions, and unless, aliens abductees probably do drink some of these creams we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How you been doing, Jenny? It's well, no, they probably do drink some of these. I mean, what do you mean, the aliens? Which aliens? Well, some of them might like coffee, I notice in every sci-fi...
Best actual foods and liquids, yeah, I'm sure they would.
I notice in every sci-fi movie there is, or every sci-fi TV there is, series, there's some kind of alien coffee.
Deep Space Nine, it's Raktajino. In Star Wars, it's Jawa juice.
Well, who is it that drinks hot fish oil in the morning? That's their coffee.
I
That's
have
just.
no idea. That's
Oh,
just
that's the
strange.
Kardashians. Yes, it's Kardashians. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it might be.
No, Sean's probably glad he's not here. He hates when we geek out like this. Um. So, if you're going through everyday life, right now we just went through a heated election cycle. People's emotions are up and down in the air. Everyone's a little kind of off balance. The winners are really, really happy and they're high unhappy.
And there are some good things happening abroad, which are why they're happy.
Yes,
So
and the country in general seems to be happy in the way it's taken. Most of his picks are being received widely. So we're seeing this movement. So while all of this is going on, whether you like the guy, hate the guy, like the girl, hate the guy, really doesn't matter because the alien abductions still go on regardless who's president or what's going on in the world. They're still doing it. Even in the Ukraine and Russia, they're still taking them. They're probably taking people off the battlefield. Because if you're part, yeah,
they can work in our airspace unimpeded by any of our technologies.
yes. Well, Jimmy, now that we've got drones, pretty soon the sky will be full of drones. Then it might be a little bit harder for them because drones might actually accidentally be running into their asses.
Maybe not.
When you see a flock of drones headed somewhere, and bloop,
I said maybe not because there are certain instances where they don't mind that people see them, especially coming and going from the water.
They don't really seem. No, they don't really try to hide from us. They hide from us, but they don't hide from us. They're openly taking our citizens without any challenge whatsoever. Can you call that hide? No, that's not really. It's they're seen all over the planet.
I use the expression like it's like a hunting blind. It's there, but you don't know what's behind it.
Yes, but the real problem here is 8 billion people. All right, I'm gonna say this again, people. 8 billion people. Okay, 5 billion of them have cell phones. Yes, with cameras on. 5 billion video. Some of them have really good. This one's got a 108 megapixel camera.
Some of the cameras and some of the cell phones, particularly you get the higher end brands, they have cameras that are almost as good as enough to make like a Hollywood movie with.
Actually, Jenny, right now I am in Mississippi. I am on the Gulf Coast. I've got a studio on the coast right here, all nestled into Mahali Bayou in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's really nice here. I'm in the city a lot, but I prefer to do my broadcast from up here anyway. But I'm in the city. Matter of fact, I was in the city the last 3 days, 12, 14 hours a day. And we usually keep a place down there, but right now we don't. Right now we only have the place up on the coast. It's kind of weird because we've always kept an extra house, usually like a condo and an apartment or something like that. But the other half says something about she hates that blankety place and she don't never want to go back to the blankety place. So, I don't see no reason to keep anything on there. I just that's where I make a lot of my money at. Christopher, no, when you start talking with contactees, abductees, you get this sense of bewilderment, I guess is the best way to say it. They start having these weird dreams, and then their dreams are manifesting all kind of weird stuff. But for some reason, they have this sense of waking dreams or conscious dreaming. It's to them, it feels really, really, really real, and it's hard to escape that feeling. Even the next day when you're at work, or even a week later when you're doing your thing, that dream is still in your head. And the bad part is, a lot of times that dream reoccurs. So if it's abduction, it means that the abduction happened again, and probably again, and probably again. They probably happen quite often. So it's kind of hard to say, but we know abductions happen pre-birth, and then we know through like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're fairly taken, probably monthly at least, maybe bi-weekly, but they're taken. Because not only are they introducing them and interacting them with other humans, but also with alien children. It just seems to be part of it. It's like they want them to become used to seeing them. It's like for generations in the future. So you ever wonder why when we see alien pictures now of anything, we're not really shocked like 20 years or 50 years ago? Today it's just kind of, yeah, okay, it's just another alien. oh, it's AI or it's this, that. I think we just,
just like people like Steven Spielberg, kind of, babyfied him, cutified him somehow.
yeah. So,
They're
but,
not
but
all that nice and cute and cuddly.
no, but for contactees, because their families keep seeing them and seeing them, seeing them, and we're talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 50, even 100 generations. So, and that's a lot of people when it spreads out, even from one family. That's a lot of people. So, they've become sort of numb to it. Kind of, it's kind of like, numb's not the right word. Like disjointed. It's like they disconnect from it, or they disconnect from life, really, and stay kind of stuck in between the two worlds because they're not sure which one's real. Which, of course, both of them are real. But how do you prove that? That's a hard question in itself. What was that? No, it's hard to prove it. Short of filming an alien taking somebody, and even that would be questioned.
Yeah, because there are some instances where they are present when you are taken with, or when they bring you with them, and other instances they are not, and you either like just disappear or phase through the walls through some sort of beam, those kind of things. I mean, that's only been witnessed once, but it was a beam in the opposite direction. It pushed somebody rather than pulled them into the
No,
ship.
well, but there are. I'd have to go through the database, but I've seen a couple of those cases like that where something. It was more of a beam that was walking them along or pushing them along. Matter of fact, they use that in the TV series Taken when the UFO escorts the girl home. why the evil men in black are trying to get to her? No, 18 years. No, you're not doing that. But anyway, getting back. So you get these adolescent kids and they're being turned on to alien toys, alien things, alien views. And you will hear a lot of times when you meet a kid who's an abductee, when their parents figure it out, and they'll say stuff like, my bug-eyed friends, my reptilian friend. I forgot what they call humans because my brain's fried, but it's kind of weird that they refer to them in a friendly manner, not in a hostile manner. And to think of a kid referring to a gray or a reptilian in a friendly manner is just kind of weird. That means the way they're being treated. Hey, Christy, how you doing? Neil, Richard. It's just kind of weird that they could relate. The kids could relate like that and transmit that out to the world. So then puberty comes. Oh shit. Puberty, for the most part, is the onset of every bad, nasty thing the aliens are going to ever do to you. Probably from the day you hit puberty until probably around 28 or 30, you're going to be put through the ringer, and in multiple ways. And now I say this now, for some people, this is not as bad as it is for other people, because some people actually understand what's going on. So the fear factor part is gone. Just the discomfort's there, but the fear factor is gone. So it makes it a whole different experience than the people who are both having fear and pain and not quite understanding what is going on. So they do a lot of samples of a lot of stuff over and over and over, which I don't understand. It's almost like they must be introducing something to the human, and every time they take them back, they're checking to see what had happened, or what did it produce, or did it change a chemical, or did it change a gene? I'm not sure what they're doing, but it seems to be like that, because why would you have to keep coming back once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month taking somebody? I mean, you have to have an ongoing experiment to do that.
And it's not just somebody, and it's not so many generations. It's a lot of somebodies and a lot of somebody's generations.
Yes.
So they're looking for something, or they're after something, and they haven't found it, or they don't. It's something. Maybe it's a constant need.
It's. I think it's. Well, I'm going on a limb here. I think it really, truly is something that will turn us on. I think they understand, because humans ourselves think we're much more than what we are as a species. We think we are, and deep down we probably are. I mean, if it's true that we house the gray reptilians in humans' DNA, then yes, somewhere along the line we're going to be marvelous, fantastic, unbelievable.
But it seems they've only switched certain things on, and others are blocked or somehow forbidden.
Well, that's because they have to live on Earth. And Neil, you got a good point. So we know for a fact now that the aliens, that the three races that are allowed to abduct, their agendas are wide ranging, from the environment of the planet to the day-to-day changes in human environment to day-to-day changes in human evolution. They're following us very closely right now, because I think they're looking for the point where we go left or right, bad or good. You got to remember, sooner or later we're going to unite as one planet. It's just a matter of time. All the races, if you believe the three races that come here and all the other hype, all the races are pretty much united planets. They're not disjointed like we are. And if we truly want to be a spacefaring race and go out and colonize, we're going to have to be a one world planet. Which, so I don't think that's as far off in the future as people think it is. And it's safer in a one world planet. You don't have to worry about dictators or terrorists or things like that, because that'll be handled quickly. There won't be any dictators. There won't be any militaries, but the one that controls the world. Good or bad, but still, it would be a different society, and it would allow us to get and explore. So for the aliens' point of view, who is this species going to be? Are we going to be the conquering species that lives on this planet today, and we're going to go out and conquer and blow up and destroy and kill and rape and pillage and steal everything we come across? Or are we going to be an enlightened species and go out there and make friends and shake hands and make accords and trading agreements and help to not just expand our own universe, but theirs as well? Is that who we're going to be? But right now, no one really knows, because we could go either way. I mean, we are holding our own as a planet and not wiping each other out of existence, but only by a thread.
But still, they're abducting our species and other species, and have been for, again, decades and generations. Yeah.
Well, so this is hard, because it's hard to put timelines on things, because Sumerians talk about the two great white dome cities, which you would think the Sumerians had to exist right with them. But the problem is, if you believe in what the aliens are saying, the Anunnaki or the human type aliens came here long time ago, 2 or more million years ago.
Yeah. But
So
they only started fiddling with our DNA 450 or 500,000 years ago.
Well, even so, that's a long time and a lot of history that we're missing. Now, granted, we don't know how long it took. Well, you got to point there, because we don't know how long it took the reptilians to come in and intervene. Was it at the start of the 500,000 years, or was it at the end of the 500? All that makes a big difference.
So that timeline is kind of jaded, because there are congruent depictions of both. So and that's why that was very confusing about the Anunnaki, what they look like originally, because there are both reptilian idols and the ones with like the dreadlocky beards and the dreadlocky long hair that have like really big, thick legs, 6 fingers and 6 toes. Both of those idols are found at the same depth levels.
Yes, because they existed together. There's no doubt about that.
So that's where the confusion is. So it probably is the Anunnaki were gone by 5,000 or 6,000 years, and just their images or effigies are left on the carved walls.
Yeah, well, we know the reptilians intervened with their creation somewhere along the line, because we all have.
It has to be somewhere in the like 6,000 or 7,000 BCE, or I'm sorry, it goes the other way. So it would be like
it had to be a lot.
8,000 BCE.
So we changed blood types, I think 45,000 years ago. So it would have to be pre that date. See, that's why the time thing gets so screwy, because if the way we're taught how humans exist today, I mean, there's only 6,000 years of history. And now you and I know, and a lot of other people, since these sunken cities and all, been found, there's 12,000 years of history. Now, recently,
there's 6,000 years of written history that we have, but there were civilizations dating back 12 and 14,000 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we know about those. Now, just recently, they dated the pyramid off the coast of Cuba at 50,000 years. So now, if that's true, then we now know that what we've been told about the human aliens is true.
Yes, Jeannie.
And that's when they existed. That's when they were here changing over, when the reptilians decided to intervene on our behalf, I guess. I shouldn't say on our ancestors' behalf, on our slaves' behalf. I guess the reptilians just didn't like seeing slaves. Well, they're supposed to be an agrarian species, not a conquering species. They're just a very big species with all kind of offshoots. I've lost. Originally, there was 12 tribes. I think it's way more than that.
May not have needed us as slaves. They may have needed us as breeding stock or genetic, enhancement stock.
Well, see, the problem with them is is once we get their DNA, they think we're family. They
Well,
actually
yeah.
treat us as family. Which is, let me explain that. So getting treated in family by them is a good and a bad thing, because they look at the world much differently. And the stories about whoever wrote that just now, who was anyway, the stories about them putting people in with the reptilian children are true, because they expect, especially women, they'll put them in with a group of 8 or 9 or 10 male reptilian children, which are all around 6 foot tall, probably around 200 pounds or right around there. And they're jumping around, acting like asses, just typical kid things. And they expect a female to go in and take charge. And I guess they know who's got the oomph to do it or not. But I've heard this story many times. And a lot of times you'll have women that come out with lots of scratches and bruises and marks all over. But even they say they go away really quickly. So you mean, why would they do that? Because I think they're trying to see. They're in a way they're a caste system. I don't know how to really explain it, because they do have a hierarchy, because there is an alpha male and alpha female in each tribe. And then there's a main alpha male and female that rule all the tribes, all the planets. And they have a bunch of planets. Yeah, they don't, Draco is not even their home world. Matter of fact, there's only two real situations here that people want to argue about these days: that the human aliens, the reptilians, and the Greys come from the other side of the galaxy, because that's where the Greys are supposedly from.
Yes.
Or they come from right here inside this solar system, and the 3 planets that were disastered, which is Mars, Venus, and the 5th planet, all house these species at one time. And maybe that's why they're interested in, because they're creating a new species that lives in the solar system, which is us. Maybe they're dying, or maybe they're just being asses.
Well, another theory, and one of my theories is that maybe they made a mistake, because before the 3 of these species were even aligned together, there was war of other species in this region of space. This
For a long time.
the local area. So maybe there was a major disaster, a nuclear disaster, a weapons disaster, and they killed a planet that was not part of the war, and very primitive. And now they're trying to fix that damage and getting us up to a point where we can join them as, galactic explorers.
See, that would be nice, but I would think they could do that much quicker than what they're doing now. 2 million years is a long time to get us to.
I don't have my own channel now.
They well, he does. Well, that's right. No, wrong show. Never mind. I apologize. I was about to say something bad. Friday night, you have to come hear what I was going to say. There are a lot of different. Well, like a lot of people think the Greys are us from the future. Come back to do whatever, fix whatever.
There are 5 different distinct types of species that we would call Greys. But the main Greys that most people talk about are the Zeta Reticulan Greys, which are from this dimension and from the Zeta Reticuli. I think it's a trinary star system, and they're from the Alpha and Beta stars.
What is that?
Well, I believe that's their homeworld, actually.
Christopher. Well, start off with, they only abduct in family lines. So whoever these original contactee lines were, when this all started, way back in the day, which we don't even know what day that was it 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000? No one can figure it out. Now, most people think it was somewhere around 50,000, because before that, it was really just brown hair, brown eyed, brown skinned people. That was it. They were positive. There was no RH negative in the world, just RH positive. And from that point, from Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal all the way up until the point, well, it depends who you want to listen to. Most people say between 20 and 40,000 years. I'm thinking probably more like 50, but regardless, whenever that happened, RH negative was introduced into our society. Nobody knows how. Nobody can even explain why. But when it did, it started creating mutations like blue-eyed, green-eyed, change of hair colors, things. People always say, oh, it was dictated by where they live. Well, apparently not, because really and truly they know now, anytime they find a skeleton anywhere in the world, they had brown hair. All the native tribes do, all the Asian tribes do, pretty much everybody in the world does. because the mutation allowed things to change. Whatever the mutation was, for whatever reason. So, I ask this question all the time, especially when I'm doing a lecture. Why would Gaia or Mother Earth create Rh negative? Why would she do that? Because it's a baby killer. Until they discovered the anti-denigen D gene, it was a baby killer. Stillborn baby, killed them in several ways, because the antibodies of the positive would attack the negative and kill them. So that's why
it was an invasive virus or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why until I think 1980, 80, and that's my wife and I had to get a blood test. So until about 85 or 90, you had to get a blood test to get married. Yes.
And they still used rabbits to determine
yes.
if couples were compatible.
Well, no, you had to have a blood test. No. If you were getting married, that was part of your marriage license. You had to have a blood test to determine if you should have kids or not. Hey, look, I'm not making this shit up. This is the real world. And then some guy in Australia, they found a gene, and they created this shot you can get. It's a vaccination, basically. And you can have babies. So it's still, why would she do that? I mean, Mother Nature couldn't have known how long it was going to take us to invent a cure. So if this was 40, 50,000 years ago, even with the negative effects it has on killing babies, it still managed to somehow get 15% of the population.
Well, it may have been introduced intentionally as a way to reduce the population by, not allowing as many births.
I was thinking that at first, but then I said no, because they had to know sooner or later we'd figure it out, which we did. And now we're at 8 billion
millions of years later.
So I think it was for other more different purposes. Like one, O negative is a universal donor. So all you have to stock now is O negative in a hospital or on a plane or an ambulance or in a battlefield, and you can give that to the soldier.
But there aren't enough O negative people to pump enough blood out to keep the stores up.
7% of the world's population. That's it. So technically, even though AB plus a negative is the most rare blood type, it's not really true, because they can take Rh negative. Rh negative can't take anything but Rh negative. That's it. They're screwed. They can only take that blood. So fortunately for them, it's in most hospitals readily available, because, I get cards up. People call me all the time. Would you like to donate $100 a pint? Come by every 2 days. You damn near make a living. I said, well, when it gets up to 500 a pint, call me. I'll start coming to see y'all. So no, I'm not kidding you. They do. They bug me about it. Well, it's because it's not just that. O negative is the purest form of blood known to man. It's where all of our hematological research comes from. You don't take my word for it. You go check any hematological study for yourself. There's 3 on the ICAR website that we did with three different scientists, three different doctors, actually. That's where all them maps came from. Yeah, I mean, it's just, so knowing all this is kind of weird, because, and it's important to know this, because the majority of people taken are Rh negative by double. Why in the hell is that? I mean, really, why in the hell? It's not just we made the initial discovery 15, 18 years ago, whenever it was. But since then, there have been other organizations that have come out and said exactly the same thing. I know of one group that said that it was Rh positive amongst their group by about 20%, but all the rest of the groups that I talked to all said the same thing. It was Rh negative, and by far. So for ICAR, it's about 62% of the people we do investigations or have Rh negative blood and green or blue eyes, or some other rare type color of eyes. They have rare blood, rare eyes. They're mutant. Basically, anybody with Rh negative blood is basically a mutant. Remember, they don't share the rhesus monkey gene with the Rh positive people. So that means maybe an offshoot, doesn't it? It might be the replacement for the Rh positive people. Oh, shit. Joe did not say that out loud, did he? Oh, no, he did not say that out loud. But as other human races have been replaced by other ones in the past, if you go by the theory of evolution, we know that to get to where we were today without alien help, there was 4 or 5, maybe 6 other human races that got developed or bred out of into extinction. Not killed, but bred out.
Mm-hmm.
Or interbred with, it might be a better way of saying it, but it's it's scary to think how we got to where we are. And if it's true that the aliens are intervening, then this RH negative is very important for some reason. It gives us an advantage over something. What do you mean? We have this is classified, by the way, but I'm not going to tell you the answer. But we have tested to see if there's more RH negative or RH positive people that are telepathic, that possess real telepathic abilities, not real abilities, meaning that they know stuff. They when you're thinking something, they'll know what you're thinking about. They're 80 or percent or higher rate. No, we test all that shit. It's a lot of fun. Well, I tell this to people all the time. This is something anybody listening to this show tonight can do. Go to your local mall, tell them that you do telepathic. Y'all are testing for telepathic ability. I don't know. Give them some bullshit college name or something. They'll let you do it. You set up by the main door. You put a little sign up saying what you're doing. You'll be surprised how many people will come up on their own and not have pieces elicited. We used to do 100 or more, easy, in 4 or 5 hours at the mall, easy. And we would do easy tests, deck of cards, 2 colors, red and green, yellow and orange. What, it didn't matter. 2, boom, put them down. Most people didn't even get it right. I don't know, 38% of the time. It's weird because you would think when you flip a coin, you should get it right 50% of the time, even 50, 50, 50, but it's not true. It's not how it always works. Yes, I know it's a very weird thing. It's chaos in the universe.
It's the bell curve curse. It's just you never know where on that curve you're going to hit.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. But it's all important because for some reason, this race or whoever they are decided to introduce this into our society to help us along, to help us improve, to become a better species than we are. And if it is true, and there are differences in personalities between RH positive and RH negative people. There's lots of studies been done on this by psychologists. So it's a strange thing. I know the blood shouldn't affect your personality. Your personality should be built on, but no, that's not true. Because part of who and what we are is stored in our genes, just like every other animal on the planet. See, sometimes humans want to forget that we're animals and we have some of the base instinct of animals. We just want to forget that because it's easier to think, oh, no, we're humans. We're not animals. No, we're animals, you dumbass. That's what we are.
Yeah,
and
we're listed as a part of the animal kingdom.
Yes, we
have
are.
Our own phylum.
But, I mean, you get to a point with all of this that you stop and think, okay, so it looks like the human aliens sort of half-ass created us because they needed a slave race. And for some reason, which no one has been able to answer, Jay and I have talked about it. I mean, it is possible the reptilians just did it to piss the human aliens off, or they generally felt sorry for the slaves. We don't know because no one's ever asked them, or they've never answered if they've been asked. So somewhere along the line, wherever time in history, which Jay and I has been talking about, where this is in this history we're talking about, when all this started, the reptilians decided to go steal the women and make babies and bring them back. And the babies were born and the babies were different. They were arrogant, egotistical. They didn't want to plow the field. They asked a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of questions, which the other race didn't ask. They didn't ask any questions because that's not what they were designed to be. They were designed to be, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll go plow the field. I'll go dig the mine. That's who they were. And then the reptilians intervened, stage left, and here we are today. Now saying that, is it possible that the Greys, because we do have 3 blood types, maybe could they be the O negative people? Is it the reptilians' blood, or was it the Greys' blood?
If you're gonna have like a standard husk that every entity is downloaded into from a mainframe, then yeah, you would have to think that. I mean, just like most motor cars use the same type of oil. It's a different weight depending on the size of the engine, but it's a universal fluid.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. No, Jen, that's very true. It's not the mother's fault. It's the DNA. It's the genes rejecting it. It's the antibodies just saying, nope, sorry, you're not living here. But I mean, we do have vaccines for that now, so that can be stopped. And as soon as you find out you're pregnant, and if they find out that you're positive, they can give you a vaccine, and away you go. Well, no, I had, like I said, when I got married in 82. No, 80. I don't know, 83. I'm sorry.
You better
And
get her ready. She's watching.
no, because she never remembers the anniversary. I'm the only one who remembers that. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. But no, in 83, and we still had to take the blood test. Yeah, that's. I'm figuring somewhere around 85 or 90 is when they finally made it where you didn't have to anymore. So, but anyway, so this is all of this wraps up into an abduction person. So we do things to help people, to help find out if they are an abductee or not. Knowing that you have Rh negative blood instantly makes you 50-50 that you could be an abductee. Now, if you go read through all the different lists on the ICAR sites and some of the questions that ask, fill out some of the questionnaires, you'll find out probably if you just stay at 50-50, then you're probably not an abductee. You cross that 70% line, you're definitely an abductee. And you need to get to hold of one of the directors or somebody in the organization in your area. And if they're not in the area, we can arrange for you to talk to people online. Well, it's a scary thing. I mean, going through this is not an easy process. So, you know, one day what we'll do is you're a married couple, you're 20 or late 20s, just getting into your early 30s. So you just went through the rough stuff, and you're starting to find out the contact is different now. So you tell your spouse, you look over at her, you look over at your wife, and you go, "Hey, baby, I've been having these weird dreams." And you start telling, she just looks at you, "Oh, you should write a book or something." You know, just some sly little comment, and doesn't think about it anymore. A couple of weeks go by, you say, "You know, baby, I'm still having that dream." And then a couple more weeks go by, I'm still having that dream. But sometimes it's different. And every now and then there's somebody standing at the foot of bed, and you're just stiff, and I'm being floated out of walls or taken out of ceilings, you know, and it becomes more and more intense, and it's hard to ignore. And then you start getting these weird feelings before they come. You know, once an abductee has been taken X amount of times, you can sense them when they're close by. And sometimes it manifests in people in different ways. Sometimes chills, fevers, weird, just overall flashes through your body. It's different for different people, but it is a scary thing. But you know, at that moment when you feel that, they're coming for your ass. And even at this point, you're still not even sure that you're being taken, but you know something is going on. I mean, there's just something going on. And you're looking for clues like, oh, there's no missing time, so I'm okay. Well, they don't really use missing time anymore. You know, I've only got X amount of weird dreams. It's not a full range of memories. Well, that's not true, because they changed the way they do memories now.
Yeah.
So you have to be more detail orientated. You have to pay more attention to your everyday routines in your life to see if something odd is going on. And of course, there's always hypnosis, but you know, I'm not against hypnosis. I just prefer not to use it out the gate. There's a lot of other ways to retrieve information, and I have found, though, many times of just sitting talking with someone for hours, just with that monotone voice I have sometimes. Usually, it'll pull it out of them without having to get the hypnosis. I mean, I will hypnotize somebody if I have to. I just prefer not to. Well, I like hypnosis for some things, but it can be challenged, I guess, is the polite way of saying it. I am Rh negative. My son is actually positive. My mom was negative. My sister's negative. It runs pretty deep in our family as far back as we can think. Just like it's so weird, because if you look up my family lineage back about almost 1,000 years, about 989 years or something, you can find Joseph Montaldo born every so many years all the way back. Well, my son is Joseph Montaldo. My dad was Joseph Montaldo. His dad was, and so on and so back, almost 1,000 years. The only difference is the middle names. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. Yeah, but the first and last names are the same. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a vampire thing. I know nobody's a vampire. Don't get no ideas, people. Let's have just because I live in New Orleans does not mean I'm a vampire. Maybe an alien vampire, yes. Oh, you're an alien vampire that prefers redheads. You are just crazy, Bruce. I swear. We're gonna get you married off sooner or later. He's a good looking guy and he's got money. But when you start going through this abduction process, you need to find someone to talk to. Someone you can trust. Someone's not going to make fun of you. There's lots of places to go on the internet. You don't have to come to us. I mean, there's lots of other places to go. Just check them out a little bit and make sure they know what they're looking for or what they're doing or if they even understand. Because a lot of places have to do something to fit their own, whatever their preconception is. That's how they have to do it. What do you mean? MUFON? That's what I call a MUFON. They have preconceptions what an abduction is. They're still using lost time and regular memory, covered memories. They're wasting their time, and they still don't even know it's not a covered memory; it's a waking memory. How can you be doing this for? I know. I remember when I started the Star Team, they asked me to come on, and I ain't gonna tell you what I told them. But, the thing of it is when they started telling me what they were going to be doing, I was like, no, that's not how we do research here. We're not good about taking anything on your word. I trust everyone, but that's a trust in person, but the world doesn't. And when I present evidence, when I go on any lecture tour, when I'm presenting anything, I need to say, oh no, this is how we went about it. This is the scientific process that we use, and so on and so forth. And it helps to legitimize the work, and it helps to bring more people into understanding. So just to put this in perspective, I had Michio Keiko on, and we were talking about all kind of stuff. And he knows the show's UFO Undercover. But being the science geek that I am and having a bachelor's I do, I started geeking out with him. So we started talking. So then he goes, well, wait, I thought it shows UFO Undercover. I said, yeah, so we got into the stepping stone theory for a while, but then we got into extraterrestrials and what we would do if we were in space as humans. I said, just think about it. I mean, no one thought 500 years ago about going to the African continent or to the South American continent. We didn't know what was there. It was a strange, dark continent to us. We had no idea what was going on down there. Yeah, no, and the jungles were deep and tense and dark. It was just a whole new world for us. So, I mean, if we were out and about in the universe, that's how it would be. So you'd have to think for some aliens coming here, well, not now because they've been here so long, but they would still find some fascination with their surroundings. The Greys don't hate us. Who told you that? No, the Greys look as like pets. That's the best translation I can give you. They do not consider us equals in any shape, form, or fashion. And I say pets because they do like us, and they do get like proud papa thing when you do something, like when you show real telepathic abilities or when you challenge some things. They like that. They're wanting to see humans with a backbone. I guess all this wokeness must be driving them crazy. Can you see abducting a woke contactee? They probably bring them right back. It's like, oh nope, sorry, we'll come back in 10 years when you're ripe. Okay, let's put this one down and move on. Because if you go by, what do you mean waking dreams? So this goes back to what you can expect if you're an abductee. So abductees sometimes will see weird stuff like, oh, I saw an owl sitting on my windowsill. I saw this weird bird or this crow or this hawk or this strange eagle, or I saw a UFO. I saw a flying
One thing that all the birds have in common is big black eyes.
Yeah. So the thing of it is, a lot of times these are waking memories. These are left in your memory so that you challenge the memory. So yeah, because your memories have been hidden from you. And you see this and your brain starts thinking, no, this is something else. This is something else. This is something else. And that triggers the waking part. So sometimes you'll see the UFO. See, that's the problem with UFOs. I used to think when I was young, everybody could see a UFO. After carrier duty, I realized that was not true. This was before I even got into the UFO field. I realized that was not true because
hey, Steve,
we would get pilots from around the world on our ship. And some of them had seen UFOs and some of them hadn't. But it was always the same ones that saw it and always the same ones that didn't, even when they were in the same group together. And it got me to thinking. Well, at the time, I didn't really know what it meant. I mean, I was 19 years old. I was launching jets off an aircraft carrier. I was pigs rolling in poop is what I was, baby. I was happy as could be. I wasn't thinking anything about aliens. And then later on, about a decade later, when I got into that field, I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, shit. So we started asking a lot of questions, a lot more questions, and it did seem to be like that. Only certain people could see UFOs, so we started looking for big cases. Mexico City, what is it, 92, 94, 1 million people out of 22 million reported seeing this UFO, including the mayor, the police chief, all kind of pastors, all kind of people seen it, even news media people seen it. Okay, 1 million people. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, why another 21 million see it?
Well, I mean,
Because it was on the news.
There's like the flaps in Mexico where repeatedly, like sometimes over the same festival, they have like several years of the same lights for several cities, not just one city, and the whole city saw it repeatedly year after year.
Well, that probably just means all damn cities contactees. And we do know about control groups like that. But here we go. Phoenix, Arizona. Big, massive thing over the city. No one in Phoenix even hardly saw the damn thing. Handful of people. Most of the people who've seen it were the ones up on the mountain, and even they were a handful of people. So I was talking with Lynn Katai about this one night. And I said, well, Lynn, she goes, my neighbors didn't see it. And I said, which told me right there that she was a contactee. And so you've got a whole row of houses on this cliff. She sees it, but these other 5 houses on each side doesn't. Skip over a couple more houses. These people saw it. Those people see it, but then the rest of these people over here didn't see it. Even when they were almost level where this thing was, only certain groups of people were seeing it and certain weren't. Well, there's got to be an explanation for that since they were all looking for it. So I remember when I can't remember his name now from the news down there, got on television and said, everybody go outside and tell me what you see. And hardly no one called back into the station, just a handful of people. So hardly no one saw it, but there was some people who saw it, a couple thousand people in the city of Phoenix saw it, but the rest of the city, which I think is over 1 million or 2 million, didn't see it.
Big city, yeah.
But I think altogether, the whole town mountain, the whole valley and mountain system, which I think there's almost 3 million people there, only 16,000 people saw it. Well, that's 15%. That's the contactee ratio, 15%. So when you get numbers like that, it makes you really stop and think that more than likely the reason the government don't have to worry about UFOs is because if you're not a contactee, you're not going to see the damn thing. And it's another reason they probably fly around on our planet without worrying about it because they know
almost 2 million. The city of Phoenix, almost 2 million.
Yeah, so yeah, I knew it's big. Yeah. So no. See, Phoenix is a big city. It's even just because it's the middle of the desert don't mean shit. And it's a growing city. But that's the problem. 2 million people. And don't forget, we got that shit on videotape. And still they didn't see it.
Yeah, several cameras captured it from several angles.
And so far, everybody I reviewed.
It was also captured on the local airport radar.
It was that was another weird thing. Part of it was, part of it wasn't. So that's why some people say it was flares and some people say it was alien. Some people think it was both government and
flares wouldn't show up on radar.
Radar, yeah. That's what they were saying. That's why, because part of it showed up on radar. I forgot how they said it. The guy named it was like the northeast. No, it was the southeast corner of whatever this was showing up on radar. But when you looked at the whole thing, the rest of it wasn't. And that didn't even make any sense. And then there was other things about the whole thing that didn't make any sense. It did give you a sense of that only a selected group of people got to see this. Okay, let's flash forward. Let's flash back even further. New York City. Ambassador and his people, busy city, 7, 8 million people back then, probably about 6 million in New York. UFO parks over the top of the city. Not cloaked, not hidden, not nothing. Parks, pulls a woman out of her window and holds her there for a minute. The ambassador of the UN from the US is getting out of his car with his Secret Service and looks up, and what does he see? But a woman being held with it by a UFO. All three of them seen it. So they're grabbing people, pointing up. These people aren't seeing anything. No, none of them are seeing anything. They're all like, well, what how can this be?
Hey, Sean.
It put the two Secret Service guys ended up in the funny bin. It was too much for them. It was just too much for them. I mean, they said it themselves. They probably asked more than 100 people to look up, and no one saw it. And the ambassador, said he had the sense that they were doing it on purpose because they just held her there. And he said it felt like they had her suspended. Oh, where'd Pops go? It felt like they had her suspended there forever, which was probably just a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds even. But he said it felt like forever. That's a weird case. And it's not just there. Belgium, Black Triangle cases. Plain sea. We even scrambled F-16s from NATO. So here we go. We're in Belgium. Big black triangles flying over these cities. Some of these black triangles are bigger than the city itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One particular city, there's 36,000 people in it. The thing goes out, the news goes on, people are screaming and hollering. People are on the thing calling the Air Force and NATO and everybody else. It passes over the city. I think they said about 3,000 or 4,000 people saw it. Nobody else saw it. Even though some people said they had the distinct feeling of like an air gust being pulled across the city. So apparently it was low. But they didn't see it. So this thing's cruising along. So they scrambled not one, not two, not three, but 4 F-16s. So, and by the way, at the time, these were the most state-of-the-art thing flying on the planet. So they fly him out to this thing. Pilot's cruising up, and he's asking for permission to shoot. The other 3 pilots are going to shoot what? There's nothing there. He said, what do you mean there's nothing there? You don't see the big black triangle in front of us? And they're like, no. And he's like, yeah. But then when they banked, I think they banked left to go. He said, let's go look around this side. And when they came around, all 4 of their radars went off on that corner we were talking about. So they could pick up a corner of a radar, but they still couldn't see it. And he asked again, do I have permission to fire? And he said, no. And then you started hearing a bunch of panic chatter between the 4 of them. This stayed available on the internet, guys, for about 10 years. And then all of a sudden they started cleaning it up. I imagine you can still find some copies around. Probably not on Google, but you can probably find it in some other places. But it was creepy. So right then and there, I told you, even though there was 4 pilots there, and even though they could see it on radar, they still could not see the craft. But the one guy could. He could see it just plain as day. So what it looks like is once you've been taken on board a craft, whatever it is, whatever the atmosphere is or the magnetic fields is, it must change something in you so you can see them. Because I think it's something they do some way that they just shift everything.
But it also seems like when there's been, I mean, even some of the Mexican flaps, so people are like taking videos of like hundreds of UFOs in the sky, and if people are looking at these guys videotaping the sky, they don't see them.
Yeah, they don't.
So it seems that they can tune people out.
No, because I think if you haven't been taken, you can't see them. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Well, something tunes you out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Or something tunes you in. One or the other.
They probably have a vibration. Well, you know what it is. It's probably something more than that. It's probably like they always talk about the Holocaust dreams and the cure being built into the contactees over generations. Well, this could be the same thing. Like how they keep tabs on us through connections of thought. Well, they must have to get our facilities up to a certain point before they could do that.
Or maybe they tweak a certain gene that turns on that we can.
So this might be the same thing. Once you've been exposed to the atmosphere or the field, if the gene's on, you can see them now. Because I know this. I know most people, once they see a UFO, they see lots more. Because they can see them now. And a lot of times, if you know where to go, like Gulf Breeze, there's a lot of places you can watch UFOs, but you have to be able to see them. So that's the other problem. Because I've got camera footage of all sorts of shit in Gulf Breeze, and people out there watching me videotape and pictures. There's a picture on the Alien Enigma site of a saucer landing on Eglin Air Force Base. We videotaped the whole thing, and there had to be 150 people out there. 3 of us saw it, maybe 4. Mm-hmm. Or one of my favorite ones is we were on vacation in Gulf Breeze, Florida. This wasn't long after the Ed Walter stuff. And while we're down there, so we're down in Gulf Breeze, we're having a good time. At the hotel we were checked in, Unsolved Mysteries checks in. So I'm sitting out by the pool, and a guy comes sits down by me, and this is I'm barely in the field. I'm still working for Blue Farm, and he starts talking to me, and he goes, "You here for the UFO stuff?" I said, "What UFO stuff?" He starts telling me. I'm like, "Oh, really? I didn't know." I said, "I mean, I'd heard stuff happen down here, but I didn't know." And he told me about it, and he said, "We're all going to this bridge tonight, and we're going to go look. They keep seeing these underwater UFOs." I said, "Really cool." So he said, "Look, if you want to ride with us, we got the big limousine and all that." So sure, so I told him, and they picked us up at the hotel, and we all went out there, and they set up all kind of equipment. There was 400 or 500 people on this bridge, and it's a fishing pier, a bridge that had been converted into a fishing pier. We're all sitting out there, and I remember looking way off in the back bay, and I kept seeing this weird glowing green thing, and I was like, "Well, it must be one of those buoy lights." And then I heard this lady go, "What's that? It looks like it's coming around the side of the back bay." And you start seeing this thing. It's cruising pretty good on the water. I'd say 20 or 30 knots as it's heading towards the bridge. It gets out into open water where the channel is, and it's cruising. It's coming up in the bridge fast. So we're all watching this thing as it passes under the fishing pier bridge, then under the two new bridges they built, then under the train trestle, and then it stops about 150 yards out past the train trestle. And everybody on the bridge, only about half of them could see it, but the ones that could see it were just chattering away. And still remember the mayor going, "I didn't think this was real," and blah, 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 blah. It's going on and on and on. And Unsolved Mysteries got cameras rolling. They got mic stuff going. Everything's going. And then you see some bubbling in the water start, and this thing lifts up out the water. And as it's lifting out, as soon as it breaks the water, it looks like molten gold just rolling off the thing in big globs dripping into the water and then just disappearing. And it sat there for a couple of minutes like, "Hey, look at us." They're probably going, "Hey, humans, you got a good picture? How you doing?" It even looked like it wiggled up and down once or twice. And it sat there and sat there. And then it started to drift, and poof, it was gone. Not like it darted off. It was just poof, it was gone. Like a door opened and closed. It was just gone.
Kind of like it was a General Motors space UFO spaceship commercial. This is the latest model.
it was crazy, but there was a lot of witnesses to it, and a lot of good witnesses to it, and but so many people didn't see it. No one along the shoreline saw it, and there was a lot of people out that night because they knew that Unsolved Mysteries in it, because they were out there throwing these colored buoys in the water that glowed pink and yellow and green and shit, trying to attract the UFO. That's what they were doing. I was laughing my ass off, by the way. And but I remember they tried that in the 70s. Right after Pascagoula, they launched a bunch of colored clouds into the atmosphere to see if it would attract UFOs. People don't ask me. Humans get the weirdest ideas sometimes.
Well, that's not that unusual to think to go along those lines, especially after you see a Spielberg movie. But there are all the glyphs on the plane of Nazca, and those could be either messages from aliens to themselves saying that this is where we land. This is if you go this way you find gold. If you go this way you find oil. You go this way you'll find fissionable material. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's in some ways, Jackie, I think the aliens want to see us succeed. But so remember this, because people tell me all the time, "Oh, they're here to enlighten us. They love us, blah, blah, blah,
Or they
blah."
need us for some task.
And then some people say, "Oh, they're here to eat us, blah, 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 kill us." Whatever. So look, this is the truth. Remember this. This is important, ladies and gentlemen. You judge the aliens just like you judge any other poor soul on this planet, by their actions. First action, they do not ask before they take. And remember, they try to make it a thing for you because they take you pre-birth. So they're trying to make you used to this as it goes through, because they know in the future some of this might get rough. So they're trying to even smooth it over ahead of time. It's kind of weird the way they go out of their way to do that. But they're also monitoring the kid as it grows up. Then they start doing all sorts of nasty experiments to you from 12 to 28. God knows, taking off body parts, stressing the brain out in all sorts of different scenarios, breeding experiments, where you open sex like the 70s. There might be some of that going on too. I mean, according to some of these other things, it might be. But anyway, I think that would happen more in the big ships than on this kind of stuff. It just seems like whatever it is that they're doing, for whatever reason they're doing it, we don't have a say in it, period.
Yeah,
No.
we
And
cannot
we
be
didn't agree to this.
non-participants.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
We cannot choose to be non-participants.
Yeah, that's right. And we didn't agree to this when people go, oh, yeah, contract. No,
Yeah.
don't make me get the flipping birds and
If
stuff.
there is a contract, it's called the Greada Treaty, and it's a bullshit treaty.
So right now, so now these are certain things that abductees are just going to go through. The different kind of experiments that go through from 12 to 28, some can be rough. But by the way, while I'm saying that, not everything in that factor is bad. They try pairing up with people. They try quite a few things. They like to observe friendships and stuff like that. They like to observe us with the children and their children, our children. So it's not all horrible, but there are a lot of aggressive, evasive things that they do.
Well, there are some abductee contactees that say that they've been trained from like an early age, 8, 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old abductees, that they're taken off the planet and for 20 years they're trained as a particular type of soldier, and then when they're done they're put back as a 12-year-old, but they remember most of what they did.
Yeah, and you have to wonder why that's even going on, because happy
Clearly
Turkey
there's
Day
some
to you
conflict
too.
still going on. If they're training,
Well,
a
see, but I
12-year-old,
don't think so, because that's what bothers me when I hear stuff like that, because so it just gets really sticky really fast. So once the light beams enter into this, there are no more wars, period. Nobody's going to challenge them. No species alive in this galaxy today is going to challenge them.
then
No one
why would
can.
they train someone or have someone why would someone have
That's
memories of being
that's the
abducted and trained as
question.
a
So
military,
why? That's
expert?
always been the question. It's always been the question to me. Is this true, or is this left over from something else, or is this for something in the future for somewhere else? See, you have to remember, for them, they don't
Maybe they're
look at
planning a coup
time.
against light beings.
No, maybe they're planning on when we meet Andromeda. Maybe that's what they're planning on. But so when you look at the way they look at time, they don't look at it the way, because they can store you. So they can pick up Jay tomorrow and put him basically in a little disc, and boom, that's it. He's there.
Little floppy
Yeah,
drive or
he's a little thumb drive. He's up there until they need it.
flash drive.
Or they can put him in a repeating program on a holodeck, basically, or what we would call a holodeck. But there's no reason to let him into the general population and give him a host body yet, because he's not needed for that yet. And by having him in the disc or on the holodeck, it allows him to train him at a faster pace and give him more information for whatever it is that's being planned here. But I would think, because all the races that, when you ask contactees to ask the different races, they say they've been at peace for quite a long time now. Ever since the light being showed up and modified the grays, they said there's been pretty much peace. But we know, because remember, they always talk about the light beams coming from a different galaxy, and most people always assume that they came across time and space to get here over the dark space. But we don't know that, because the Milky Way is currently eating 5 galaxies. 5.
Yeah, it could come from any one of those 5 or one previous.
Yeah. And what was it? Sagittarius is a decent sized galaxy, not like ours or Andromeda, but it's a decent sized galaxy. And we've eaten many others before those. So it's a good chance that the light beams, they said the light beams came from a dead galaxy. Did they kill it? Did something else kill it? Or did it just die off from old age?
Consume it and kill it,
Yeah. So anyway, they're here now. And the best way to describe the light beams is about twice as powerful as Q are.
But there are still stories, even in our written history, of the war in heaven and the war between heaven and hell.
Yes. But what is that? Is that just hopeful literature for the religious people?
There are wood carving cutouts, wood carving cutout prints that are from the 1500s in Austria and other places in Europe, of strange symbols in the air shooting arrows at each other.
Yeah, and see, and a lot of that I think's been shifted. I think that's one of the reasons they abduct us, is to make sure, because they don't just take, people think, oh, contactees are crazy people, alcoholic people, trailer people, whatever. No, contactees are everybody. They're politicians, they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're scientists.
Well, back to the light beings. When did they get here? That's the thing. It had to have been after the 1500s.
No, aliens have been here
for seeing, Star Wars battles in space right above, European cities.
Yeah, but see, as far as we know, none of that's true, because no satellites pick it up.
Well, it was 1516 or 1500s, whatever. It was way back.
Oh, well, See, and some of that I wonder about what that actually was too, because we do know there was UFOs flying around on the planet, and we do know from time to time they seem to intervene on human behalf, and we do know the reptilians and the humans intervened in our past, so there's nothing to say they wouldn't have in our future at that time anyway. But after, or I should say maybe 1,000 years BC, maybe 2,000. That's when the Greys showed up. They weren't even on this planet. It seems like the reptilians and humans were just running rampant. And I would bet you they were doing whatever they were wanted to do. I don't think there was any council holding them back, because I don't think there was any galactic policemen here yet, like the Greys.
But aren't there faces of the Greys at the Pumapunku? What is that wall?
So the oldest one we know so far, the one we found in Egypt, dates somewhere around 1500 BC. So 1500 years before Christ. And so that would be 3,500 years ago, give or take a day or two. So that's not near as old as the reptilians and humans. So if you go look, and I challenge anybody to find this for me, because I would love to be wrong on this, because it would help me explain some stuff. So if you go look through any of the Mesoamerican stuff, any of the Egyptian stuff, any of the Sumerian stuff, pre 2,000 years ago, you're not going to find anything related to Greys anywhere. They didn't exist on this planet, but the reptilians and humans did. The reptilians and humans, technically, them SOBs played more part in our history than anybody's going to ever know, because I don't know if we're going to ever get to the truth of it all. There is no doubt that some of these.
I think the Vatican has a vast amount of that.
Oh,
truth
wow. I'm not even arguing about that. I think they do. But I think in some places, the reptilians and the humans played God here and played ruler here.
Yeah.
And I think they did for quite a long time.
We've been asked that question many times. Do the aliens have God? Do they have a government? Well, they gave us the idea of government, and they gave us the idea of kings, and they gave us the idea of religion.
Yeah, so I mean, it does look like
ways to control people.
It does look like in the past that they definitely directly interfered and directly got into religion and directly got into ruling us. And then what happened is
how to rule ourselves.
Yeah, but then what happened is we learned to rule ourselves. They helped us learn, and we outnumbered them 50,000 to 1.
So
without
slave force as well.
and if the Galactic Council didn't exist, one of the races just would have took us out and took the planet, and that would have been the end of that. So there's another force keeping that from happening. The same one that's keeping any big wars from going. But we say that. So this planet technically is war free. You can say Ukraine but that's not a real war. That's more like a police action than a war. It's not encompassing enough people for us or enough land or anything to be a war. That's more like, the bully picking on the kid. And
Yeah.
I think in the galactic scheme of things, that happens. I think maybe trade wars happen and stuff like that, but I don't think the light beings or the Greys will allow any kind of real wars, where there's multiple races fighting. From what I understand, the light beings could just take them out by thought. They wouldn't even have to do anything else. So it's a tough thing, because if you're gonna believe, when people tell me all the time, well, if you're gonna believe in the light beings, well, if you're gonna have to believe in the light beings, then you have to think the galaxy is different than what we thought it was originally from the aliens, because they're a super being. They're not just an extraterrestrial being. They're a super extraterrestrial being. They're a God being. It's the only way you can describe them. They can travel in space through thought. They can create through thought. They can create worlds through thought. They can create life through thought. So they can do anything that what we consider a God on this planet. They can do any of that.
Yeah,
they're not a God. They're still just an extraterrestrial.
Modern day reference would best be a Q being from Star Trek.
Probably even more advanced than that.
Probably more advanced.
They don't seem to have an Achilles heel anymore. At least none that we know. No, because the reptilians and the humans, even the Greys fear them. Nobody wants a conflict with them. They're just, and they gave the Greys a lot.
They can wink you out of existence with a single thought, just like the Thanos glove. I mean, it's that kind of power. It's universal type of power.
There's a scroll.
Their civilization, if they are a civilization, so far above advanced anything else that they probably couldn't care less whether we live or die.
And see, and What do you mean? Can they shapeshift? Well, they're pure plasma, so or pure. I don't want to say plasma because I don't know what it is. I just say
whatever they're
energy.
made of, light, protons,
Yeah,
photons.
whatever is that's what they are. So they can take any shape they want.
Maybe they're gas and they take an anthropomorphic
Can
shape.
they? Can they occupy a human? They would melt you. They maybe could do like a Vorlon and break off a little piece of them and put it in you. But if they tried to, they would melt you in
They can
seconds.
probably control you from a distance with their thoughts, though.
Yeah, they definitely control you through existence. But I mean, if they wanted to travel amongst you, they could probably break. I would imagine since they are energy, they could probably break off a piece of themselves and put it inside you. That they could probably control and use to control you and keep an eye on you.
That concept has already been spoken about. They're the Japanese superhero Ultraman, the first incarnation. There's a space being, a space alien. It's escaped a prison planet, and it's flying inside Earth's atmosphere. And this other spaceman named Ultraman is trying to catch it. And in the process of catching it, he crashes into a space plane, an Earth plane, and kills the occupant. And before the occupant dies, he says, "I'm going to give you part of my life, and I can't leave the planet now, so you and I are tied together." And from that time on, this human can turn into a giant robot, basically, and beat the shit out of, pardon my French, out of any monster that comes along. If anyone's seen that, I know Joe's probably seen it. It's one of my favorite shows as a kid, and that's not what he's saying. Isn't entirely
Yeah.
Every space,
well, I mean, we know,
spaces
we know Babylon 5
can occupy human beings, all kinds of weird stuff out there.
Well, I mean, we know Babylon 5 use it with the Vorlons. That's how they would keep tabs on people. They break off a little piece of themselves, and that way they could even regenerate from that piece of themselves if the rest of them got killed. But see, in the Vorlons, it suggests they could die. Pure energy, well, I imagine something could kill them. I don't know. Nothing. If you think about it this way, they lived an entire life in another galaxy that's now dead. So how old are they? Billions of years, not billion, but billions, meaning plural. I don't even know if we can even conceive them as anything other than God.
There's no way we can confirm they're not as old as the universe is.
Yeah, we don't know.
Billion years old.
And well, all right, Christy, you're not gonna like what I got to say about this, man. They do. I think you're right in some ways that they are trying to help us to get out of our infancy and out of our caveman.
But are they helping us for our sake or their sake?
Yes.
Or what?
Well, I mean, I think they want to see us succeed, but let's be honest.
But again, it's for our sake or for their sake.
Yeah, but let's be honest. If they really wanted to help us, they could have already done that. I mean, just showing their presence would change the planet in irreparable ways. I mean, it would, and overnight, no less.
Yeah,
letting them know that they were here for peace and friendship and to help us move forward and cure cancers and things like that. That's helping us. And that's helping us to understand a different life and a different world. But doing the way they're doing it right now makes a lot of people resent them. Nobody likes to be taken against their will or it's worse when you watch your children get taken or they're being taken or things are being done to them at certain ages. Even though a lot of times in the end, they're not really hurting the kids. They're going to keep them healthy and all, but still, it's a hard thing to watch.
Still, though, they're abducting us in the millions, maybe billions.
What's that?
Not just yearly, but weekly, monthly.
Yeah, frankly, what do you mean they like pork? What are you talking about? Bacon. Don't ask me. I have no clue.
Well, there's only one part of the Greys, the Zeta Reticulans, that actually still eat, and they don't eat that much, and they're vegetarian, I do believe.
Yeah, the only food who was it? Bob's? No, it wasn't Bob's. I think it was Bob's. I said they like strawberry ice cream. It's
no, that's Charles Hall.
Oh, was it? No, was it Charles Hall?
The Arcturians, they like of all the ice creams he.
Well, no. Charles Hall said that about tall whites, but somebody from Vegas was on a mask on the show and said it. And it turned out to be one of the famous people, but I can't remember who it was. It was one of them shows. You used to put them back in the shadow. It was one of those kind of things. George Knatt was doing the interviews, like when he first started doing it too.
Yeah.
What's that, Philly? Well, I mean, abductions are rough. I mean, I'm not gonna just tell you they're not. I mean, for the kids, they're not. The kids kind of enjoy them or have fun with them. Most kids do. I mean, there are fear for some kids, but most of the kids.
Yeah, well, they're not putting the kids through any of the mind games yet. It's more, It's more like a dentist visit, or a doctor visit,
Not even that. It's more like I don't know how many of y'all go to casinos, but at the casinos they have these places where you can bring your kid that are just full of
Yeah, the
every
kid
toy and
casinos.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything you can believe a kid. They got jungle gyms in there. They got games. They got videos. They got anything you could think of, plus
Video
food in
games,
there.
crane
Yeah,
games.
it's more like that for the kids because the
Like a
kids
Chuck
actually
E.
say,
Cheese.
"My
You can
friend."
win
Yeah.
tickets and shit, and then you can take
Yeah,
tickets
so
and drive.
they say the kids say they call them their friends, so they don't think they're there to hurt them. It's
Well,
just that stuff
a lot of
starts,
times they
and I
could
don't
be.
think it's as bad as it used to be. I think with each successive generation, what they do gets a little less and a little less and a little less because some experiments have a course, they run their course. I mean, you can do one experiment on a million humans or a billion humans, even eventually that's going to run its course.
Yeah, I was going to say it may not just be the experiment runs its course. It could be that they've gotten what they needed out of your bloodline, and
I
they
lost you.
abandoned your bloodline for another route.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
that's possible.
So I was going to say,
Okay.
yeah, they've abandoned the bloodline for another route.
Yeah, I would think they would regardless keep the kids anyway because each kid could be bred with another contactee that could start another route
Yeah,
right there, and it does
yeah,
seem
that's what I'm
like that
saying.
because we see. So figure when this started, it was the reptilians interbreeding with the half Sumerian, half human alien, and then then they had a reptilian section, and they became sentient and they went out into the world and started conquering the world and doing their thing, and then the reptilians came along introduced their DNA, and we became even more intelligent species than we were before. And we started to grow in leaps and bounds. And people don't realize, but when you look back at the last 500 years and what we've achieved, it's amazing.
You don't even have to go back that far. You just go back 100 years. 1924. What happened in 1924? We're just out of World War II. The bird flu has gone around through Europe and most developing and first world countries and killed 50 million people. But we don't have like regular air flights yet. We don't have internet. You can't call telephone calls through from America to Europe yet. All kinds of stuff does not happen yet.
Well, I like to use the 500-year mark
That's
because that was the Crusades and the Spanish Inquisitions. And if you stop and think, so most saints will tell you the Middle Ages cost us 1,000 to 1,500 years in evolution. Now we should be at least 1,500 years more advanced than we are today, because carteling people like Galileo and other scientists back in the day,
Copernicus.
There was so many of them that they could have been stacking on top of each other.
Who was
And
killed with hemlock?
No, I don't remember.
He was one of the great either philosophers or observers of space. One of the first, guys with telescopes. Yeah, they would kill you if you knew something they didn't want you to know.
So, but anyway, getting back to what I was saying, so they're breeding along. So these bloodlines. So now, back then there was just those two species, and then all of a sudden there was a Greys. But then there's the contactee. So contactee J marries contactee Jane. Well, Jay is a Grey, she's a human. Well, they have children. This children's now basically a hybrid. Well, someone comes along she falls in love with a reptilian contactee. They have children. Those children fall back in love with a Grey contactee, and they have children. Now you've got a super hybrid here, not just a hybrid. So what's going to come out of that kid? I don't even think the reptilians and Greys. That's one of the reasons they probably stick around, because I don't even think they know. I don't think they realized until it was too late, because of how fast of a population we're growing, how we were going to breed back in on ourselves like that, and how there was going to be cross pollination of the Grey contactees, the reptilian contactees, and human contactees. Because one guy tried to tell me one time, he said, "Well, no, that don't happen." I said, "Well, yeah, it does happen, because I personally know a reptilian contactee that's married to a Grey contactee right now that have children. By the matter of fact, the girl is marrying a guy who is a human contactee." I said, "Would you like me to introduce you to him?" And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "We track all that stuff." And that's, I guess what you'd say is that, but it happens that way. So each progressive generation, it's crossbreeding more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So we don't even know which one of the three aliens right now have the predominance amongst the 15% of the population that's being taken, which is probably more like 17% now, but still. And it's weird that the 15% also equals out with the blood types 15%. So 15% of the world's population is being taken, but it happens to be 15% is that.
Hey,
And they put you off the ship. Leah was on the ship, people.
Leah.
That's where she was, and they let her off the ship. They said, "Get off the damn ship, girl, and go home."
Yeah,
They kicked me off.
I said, "Good."
she was late for
It's
the show.
no, Craig. I mean, in some ways, I think that they're legitimately helping us, and in some ways, I think they're not. I don't.
In what ways do you think they're not?
In a lot of ways, I mean, they could. So, look where we are today.
Well, for one thing, they're not letting us have our full capacity. We don't use the full capacity of our brain, and we don't have the full capacity of our alleged full lifespan.
But it's not
Alleged
even that.
full
That
lifespan.
sucks, by the way. Oh, why did I get feedback? That was weird. All right, Leah, what you got going on?
myself.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay, that's better. Okay, that was weird. She had something flinging back around.
Yeah, she must be. Are you using your phone?
And what was I saying? I got sidetracked. What the hell was I talking about?
We were talking about aliens.
Oh, but anyway, so there's lots of ways they could help us indirectly, but think of it this way. They did not stop the Japanese from attacking Pearl Harbor. They did not stop America from not dropping one, but 2 nukes on Japan. They did not stop.
We actually dropped 3 that year, the test bomb and then the 2 on the city. So
they didn't stop any of them.
They didn't care if we burn the city. We don't care. They don't care if we burn the planet up with nuclear fire. They don't care.
They didn't come save us
from, up in a couple of weeks.
They didn't save us from 3 Mile Island. They didn't save us from Chernobyl, and they didn't save us from Fukushima. So there are things that they do that makes you question what exactly it is. They want to see us as an enlightened species.
They've also
want to see us grow.
They've also demonstrated that, at least in European and Russian theaters, they can turn off the Russian, turn on the Russian nuclear devices and get them ready for launch, while at the same time in America turning off the same devices, the nuclear devices, so that we can't launch them. So, whatever they're here for, they demonstrate to our military that we're in control here, not you.
Well,
whatever illusions we have, we're not in control here. Don't ever have that kind of illusion. We are not in control.
I think that's the point.
You, and that's it.
The point is that we're not the ones in control, right?
Absolutely not.
Nobody's actually controlling us to make any of the decisions we make, right? And so we're left with this freedom to choose, this free will.
It's an illusion. We don't have. If you decided tomorrow, Leah, that you could build yourself a spaceship and you wanted to go to Saturn and live on one of the moons, they would stop you.
Well, they're letting Elon does. See, Elon's a fucking alien.
Yeah, it's within the realm
of
possibility.
He's an alien. No, I'm telling you.
Remember, we sent two probes to Venus, and both probes had catastrophic failures. I believe they called them.
Yeah, but we got a lot of information from them probes, so we don't want to hate on them. But while they were going through the upper atmosphere, we found out that Venus's upper atmosphere is identical to Earth, which means at one time it was a lot like Earth. Yeah. Not anymore. Now it's just a molten 800 degree
runaway greenhouse
piece of crap planet.
Means there's still life there.
What is that, Jesse? So, no, Christy, I don't think we deserve their full participation yet. I don't. Come on, we're trying to start a nuclear war right now. So we got Putin over there acting like an ass. We got Lazinski acting like this. Now we got our own president going, "Oh, well, I'm going to give Ukraine nukes, really?" And the aliens are going, "Well, I guess we're going to get a new planet." Look at it from their point of view. Even though they want to see us survive, if we wipe ourselves out, they have the technology to rehabilitate the planet and quickly. Yeah, we might not be able to clean up radiation, but they can. So they're thinking, hey, look, if you stupid humans want to wipe each other out, feel free. We'll just take your planet and give it to somebody else. Maybe the black-eyed aliens. They might want to give it to them.
Or maybe they'll fight over it. Maybe the 3 of them will fight over it.
Or maybe they'll split it up.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
there's 5 good continents and 1 frozen one, and the frozen one doesn't bother them at all either.
When the great move comes, it's only supposed to be 3 or 4 races living here anyway. Dean, we don't have enough time for the great move. That's It has a lot to do with the Holocaust dreams and the people seeing. 35% of contactees have the Holocaust dream. Well, it's not a complete. So first off, aliens have been taking humans off world for a long time. So we didn't know this for a long time. We could never figure out why that we were seeing UFOs over places like mortuaries, graveyards, hospitals. We were like, what kind of morbid crap are these guys doing? What's going on here? We didn't find out till later that they have the ability to remove your conscious up to 3 or 4 days after you die.
Well,
So for some reason they're not there when it
how
happens.
kind of like Jesus Christ and Mithras and what's the other one? The 3 or 4 different gods all somehow were killed, crucified, and sacrificed in some way, and resurrected 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah, well, because that's probably what it is. They were probably taken up, put into the new host body, and put back. Well, the host body
even
can
Mary Magdalene, when she's the first one to see Jesus, she says that he seems different.
Yeah, because the host bodies can be much. They can look exactly the same, but they can be much different. They can be stronger, faster, bigger brain capacity, smarter in general, plus pre-programmed with all kind of information you didn't have before that you can access and use. So, that's. But they'll take these humans. Sometimes they, like we talked earlier, put them in cold storage until they're bringing them wherever, because a lot of them are going to be brought to off-world colonies. Multiple colonies, multiple races live in these colonies. So they bring them to off-world colonies and they basically integrate them in those societies, and that's where they live. But they don't do it for everybody. They don't basically, if you're aggressive, they don't want you there. So like what they like to call the cleanup crew, the people who will be left behind to help the aliens pick up whatever contactees get taken by the government or get taken in other ways. They're not going to allow them to go off world because I guess they'll be tainted from whatever nasty things they had to do to get the contactees free. Hey, that's the Holocaust people. They'll tell you that all day long. And what's so interesting about these dreams is how exact and precise they are and how much information there is in them and how none of these people knew each other when we started talking about this 20 years ago. We have at least 5,000 or more of these cases, and it's insane the descriptions you give you. And to be honest with you, how far in the future it is, I think it'll be after I'm gone. But I don't know how much further, because they talk about things like these generated advertisements that are holograms. They pop out into the air and they start talking to you and tell you things. And whatever you looked at last on the internet on your computer is always trying to sell it to you over here on the right side. It's basically the same program, except it's a hologram and it's very advanced and it gets in your face and it gets in people's faces and stuff. It's way interactive from what they talk about, but it's nothing that's around today. We're not even at that level of technology yet, but we're not that far away from that level of technology either. Matter of fact, the reason we don't have them right now is they were actually banned in the United States for some reason. Yeah, I guess they were intrusive or scared people or something. I don't know what it was, but they were banned. For now, anyway. That'll all change. But when you listen to these dreams, they're just so precise, and every one of them tells you about seeing a group of military people doing mass graves, where they're just burying people and by the thousands. And every now and then you'd see something that looked like a mutant or something that would have to be dealt with in some way or another. And then, of course, you would run into groups of contactees being herded around by usually what seemed to be military people or something along the military.
Right.
Well, that's the only way they could survive, because the contactees had natural immunity to whatever this was that hit the planet. And I guess the military was using that to vaccinate their own people to survive. Well, you don't know how many. So when stuff like this happens, you don't know how many people they lock down on the ground that they knew were clean first. Last I heard, and it's probably more than this now, last I heard, America countrywide has a capacity to put about 10 to 15 million people on the ground for up to 100 years. So it's pretty serious. It's a lot of people. And you don't, imagine they're going to be strict breeding, stuff like that, and having babies and stuff, but you're still going to have babies regardless of what's going on. What's that, Gene? Well, no, there's a lot of underground facilities in the United States. There's a show way back when was on, and one of the FEMA guys made a big boo-boo. He probably, that poor man probably got put in a cell somewhere. He was doing a thing, and he was showing these underground facilities that the government used for this, that, or the other thing. And what was funny about it is he's, oh well, these are all decommissioned, which was 100 of them. And then he put this dot in the one. And he said, "Oh, this is one too. This is the one in D.C." Well, when you looked at the map, there was literally 200 or 300 of these spread across the entire country. And you realize that he did realize at the moment he did it that he effed up, and immediately removed the dot and moved the camera. They had the camera moved over, but it still made it on air. And a lot of people were talking about it for a long time. Well, no, there's a lot of underground facilities. And then most people don't even know this, but in a lot of rich neighborhoods, there's underground facilities in the neighborhoods. I've seen them for myself. Down here, I've seen 4 of them in neighborhoods where there'll be 10 or 20 or 30 families living in this really rich neighborhood, and it has to go right at the bottom of the house, right into the facility. Well, they did one down here. The way I found out about them is after Katrina, there was a big one the government used to use out by the lakefront, and it got flooded. So they put it up for sale. And what they did was they put it for sale. And all of a sudden, overnight, in the middle of these 2 highways, this big, wealthy neighborhood popped up with about 50 homes in it, right on top of where the underground facility used to be. Right on top of it. And then all of a sudden, every time we go by there, we'd see more and more stuff coming out. We see new doors being put on the facility. There was the rich people took it over. And then a friend of mine actually took me on a tour. It's badass. And they're not giving up much in the way of luxury being down there either. And they got food, and they're constantly rotating food, stockpiling food, rotating water, stockpiling water. It's completely airtight and watertight. It can go on its own air system for a long time. So, that's when you're rich, that's what you get to do, people. In Russia, you don't even have to be rich. You just got to be in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So is longevity some like of DNA or your genes something that is specifically for just like rich and wealthy people, or like preserving your
Richer you are, the older you get.
Well, sometimes. I mean, Steve Jobs died pretty young, and there's a lot of other rich ones that have died pretty young.
Well,
so.
yeah, I mean, some
Money's
die
not necessarily it's not necessarily
it's just basically like like survival of the fittest at that point for everyone else that isn't wealthy.
Well, there'll be a lot of survival of the fittest depending on what's going on or how prepared you are or not, or where you live and things like that. I mean, all of that will come into play. But sorry, I'm flipping a page while I'm talking to y'all. But really and truly, the rich people will have their things where they survive, but they'll need people like us. One, they're going to have somebody to protect their asses from whatever's coming. They'll need to have access to doctors and other scientists, laborers, workers, stuff like that. That's one thing, when people always tell me about, oh, they're going to cut the population down to 500,000 rich people. Okay, well, who's going to service those rich people? It'll take 1 billion or more people to service 500,000. It'll take more than that, really. If those billionaires want to live like they live today, it'll take 3 or 4 billion people to give them that ambience of life where they could travel around and stuff. That's why I never really was into that the way they always said how this group was going to take over that group. Nobody's willing to give up their comfortable lifestyle. One of the things that keeps big wars from happening. Nobody wants to, live in burned out, bombed out cities like they had to do in Europe for 50 years until they regenerated them.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, Chris? Well, I mean, the aliens are here. It's just, and they could interfere more. I mean, they could give more. They could go pick up Christy, take her for a ride, stop by Jenny's and Joe's, have a little coffee, say how you doing, what you been up to. What are you talking about? No, they don't eat cows in India.
Cow is sacred in India.
It's even though they got McDonald's in India, but I don't think they serve hamburgers. Well, I've never been to one.
Probably a vegetarian version of it, probably.
Maybe a chicken sandwich or something.
No, I think most.
I doubt there's any quarter pounders with cheese over there, though. All my Indian friends,
a veggie burger or a vegetable substitute.
All my Indian friends I know eat lots of meat. They eat chicken. They eat lamb. They eat pork. They just don't eat cow. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine was over at a house and I was cooking up some filet mignons, and he's like, Jesus, they smell so good. And I said, man, they taste way better than anything you're eating. And he's like, because I was making him one of them big pork chop thingies and one of them steak chops. And he said, I can't. He said, I'll burn in hell if I eat that, right? I said, well, no, this heaven will be a really empty place if it's just y'all up there and all the rest of us went to hell for eating steak. He's like, I said, hell will be one crowded place. Well, the aliens they get involved in our lives. They do interfere in some ways. They've been known to play matchmaker. They've been known to watch over their contactees. They really don't like when contactees are military abducted. They'll leave it alone for the most part, but if they're doing something they don't like, because they monitor their contactee 24/7, they will go and remove them. We have many cases where the Greys or the reptilians came and removed their contactee from the military abduction. And sometimes I've heard stories where it wasn't very pleasant for the people who took them. What do you mean, death? Yeah, I've heard I've actually heard sometimes where they either been melted into nothing or just tore into pieces. Yeah, I think it's another message to the men in black: stay away from our contactees. I think it's a hardcore message, and a lot of people think that the men in black there's a rogue group of Greys running around, and we found out about it by accident. And they think that rogue group works with the men in black. They actually think a lot of the men in black are hybrids.
Yeah, there's been talk that there's two different types of men in black: ones that are humans and ones that are not humans.
Yeah, same organization, but some that are hybrids. Well, because they move weird. They're not quite phased in time correctly. I mean, those could be devices, but they could be something else with the individual as well. Leah is an alien. We've told y'all that before.
Mm-hmm.
Look at her eyes. Look at that. Man, come on. That's okay, Bruce. When you see her, when you wake up in the middle of the table at night, you see her with a big knife in her hand. Don't come crying at me. No, the laser knife. You think, yeah, you'd be in deep shit. Contactees have it rough because they don't know what's going on in their life.
Well, there was
really weird things.
I don't know if you remember the one abductee that had drawn a hand tool that he saw one of the Greys using. That was more of a laser scalpel. You ever seen that wand?
I've heard of things like that. I've heard about a couple of different types of wands. I've heard a couple of like toothpick devices. I hate to call them that because they're more like crystal spikes. Might be a better way of describing them. But I've heard of different things like that. They got the one and I've heard many contactees say it's about this long. It's kind of clear, but kind of cloudy clear. It's at a point at the end and it kind of rounds out at the end. And a lot of times the Grey will want it on the tip of his lip and then touch you in the forehead with it or touch you in certain spots with it.
Probably downloading information from the crystal.
It's what crystal?
The little spike thing. It's just it looks like a spike, but it is a crystal, and it does. Well, yeah, I've heard it knocked out. I've heard all kinds of sorts of things. Well, the Greys are much different than the other two. They have organic ships. That's just a whole different kind of technology. It's not the same.
It's not so much a technology; it's a being. It's a living creature, isn't it?
Yes, and it's self-replicating, and it could create its own food. So I mean, this thing can repair itself. And the Greys can speed up the pair when they're connected to it. They can give their energy and their thought power to increase the rate of the speed.
Yeah, again, like the Borg of Star Trek.
Just more advanced, that's all.
Way, way, way more advanced.
Borg would meet the Greys. Borg would go, oh, well, we got to leave now. Been nice meeting you guys. We'll see you when we mature a little bit in about 500,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Greys are just really advanced. But the Greys are weird in the fact that they look at humans like we do have potential. So do the reptilians and the humans, but the humans, for some reason, dislike us the most. I don't know, maybe we did them something in the past or something. The reptilians think of us as family for some reason, like we're cousins or something. So they want to see us. They really want to see us progress and become this spacefaring race and join the fight because they think we're going to be more on their side than humans, and they're probably right. since we contain that piece of that DNA from them, they're probably right. And we were probably engineered in the whole beginning. We were probably engineered to be more. Because think of it this way: until the time of Christ, reptilians were revered over the entire planet, over everything else. They were the bearers of life all throughout South America and Africa and the Middle East. And then right after the time of Christ, they became hated. They were the snakes. After the snake, gave Eve the apple, they fell out of grace. Whoever that was very slick. Whatever that was very slick to take the reptilians out of power. They lost all their power in the Middle East. They lost their power in South America and everywhere else. So they just did like the rest of the aliens do, and now they're in the wings, waiting for us to be mature enough to come out and walk on the street with us. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I'll be walking down Bourbon with a 9-foot reptilian, 400, 800 pounds or something, shaking the building.
But it also seems like during that time, it was, it kind of almost seems like a natural progression from multiple God religions to the singular religion. So it doesn't seem that entirely unnatural. But at the same time, you're right. I mean, Buddha is one of the contemporaries of Jesus Christ, and he has a snake as an umbrella, basically.
Yep, it's what's that, Bruce? No, I mean, like I said, they want to see us, but they can only give us so much help. There's probably a couple of reasons. One, there probably is a council out there because all the contactees talk about this council, so they're probably limited.
Galactic Council.
Yeah,
Federation. Or the Council of Nine. It has a couple of different names.
Yeah, because it keeps growing. The very first time I ever heard about it was 40 years ago. And there was a 9-seat front council with all kind of other worlds there. Now
sounds like a secret society.
Well, no, now there's so when you hear him describe this place, we'll describe the council hall. If you've ever watched the new Star Wars where Yoda's fighting with the Emperor in the council in the place, that's what it looks like. It's more than likely that's where they got the idea from. They talk about this thing where the councils sit on each layer and they can come out and talk and present their arguments and go back in. And they even at the very top of this different little bubbles with different kinds of fluid in it with other kind of aliens in it. And then there's the seat of the council, which now is up to almost, I think, 21. It's always an odd number, whatever it is. Yeah. I guess so that's a tiebreaker. But it's always the same way, though. It's the reptilian, the light beings, the reptilians, and the humans, and then other races. And the gray actually doesn't sit at the table. The grays actually sit in a chair behind the light being.
Have you seen it?
It's classified. It's classified. What can I tell you? What's it doing? It's classified. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Who's seen it? It's so when people say when they see it from space, when you're driving up to this huge water world. When I hear this description, the best description today would be off of what's that movie Bruce Willis was in, The Fifth Kind. When they're driving up to that planet where that big ship's hovering over the planet, well, it's a little different. So this is a water world. They say probably on a magnitude of about 20 times the size of Earth. Wow. The city itself that sits there with everybody in it is bigger than the planet Earth. So this is a city. Each section of the city, each couple of groups of buildings represents an alien race. And they're supposed to be not thousands, but tens of thousands of races that are represented there. And each one's there. And when there's council meetings, they all go over there wherever it's held. And that's where it's at. Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said the light beings did. When they came here, they said they found a galaxy at war, not just one war, but wars all over the place with different races and different species, just shit everywhere. And they just came in and they found the grays and they enhanced the grays is the best way to say it. And then them and the grays went out and began to change the galactic galaxy. But we're talking millions of years ago. This wasn't anytime in recent times. Now, however long the war ran up, I couldn't tell you the end dates. But I'm sure there's been skirmishes and stuff since then mainly about territories, more than likely. But they'd say everything's usually handled at the council. That's where they're handled. That's where they do their things. And there are literally more than a few thousand contactees that have described this place.
So is it climate controlled then? Like, do they all come from different places? Wouldn't they be acclimated to different atmospheres?
So that's what I was just saying. So a lot of them are gonna be air breathers, probably oxygen breathers. Not all of them, but we were talking about the ones in the liquids. So there's these little, they look like drops hanging off the ceiling, but each one of them is a liquid, and there's species that are in those that are either could be no telling what kind of liquid. Some might just be water, but no telling what the other ones are. But the ones that don't, so you'll see things like some of them will have these artificial gills on, or these little things that clip on their face or their nose, so it can convert our atmosphere or whatever atmosphere is there. Because I know in some of the meetings, the humans have to wear them, which suggests they're not breathing oxygen in that meeting. They're breathing something else. But then sometimes the humans can breathe it, which means they are using it. Maybe it's a thing, maybe it's a rotation on how many races do what, trying to, but from what I understand, the things they sit in are actually gravity controlled, because not all the races come from a 1G environment or a half G environment or a 5G environment. So there's different ones, and there's also some pretty big races out there that have to be handled in a different way. When I'm talking,
well, I mean, the Anunnaki themselves are like 9 to 15 feet tall.
Yeah, but and these are 50 or 60 foot tall, so it's a whole different thing. So there's lots of stuff that has to be accommodated, and I think that's why the city itself is so big. But everybody says the same thing when you come up on it. It is just, there's just no words for it. Everybody says it's stunning to just see it, and I can imagine it would be. I can imagine where it would be stunning to see something like that, and just to be part of it and witness it. And there's actually a place where different races that this is being done to are allowed to stand and watch what the proceedings. And everybody, I guess, is like a universal translator because no one's speaking English, but everyone can understand what's being said. The humans are not allowed to interfere or give continents or anything else, but they are allowed to watch and see how things. And no, not just them, like the black-eyed aliens we talk about. They're also there. There's a lot of other races there that are around the same level of evolution and technology that we are. Some of the technology levels might be higher or lower, but the evolution all the way around is about the same as ours, where we are mentally, physically, things like that. What do you mean why they? Because in the end, this counts on all these young races, which are not wise enough, old enough, or smart enough to be part of this council. They want you to go home after you see this and talk about this. They know that Leah can write a book, and it may not change then, but it may change some people's views in the future. Those people might write some other books that might change some more, and you might start to see a process where things start to change on the planet. This planet knows it's in trouble. We know we want to be a happy, just live together planet, but we also know things have to happen. We either need to have some kind of new confederation because the UN doesn't do shit. So we need something that has control, and whoever it is, then everybody else is going to have to give up their military. China would be the richest country in the world if it would give up its military. Everybody would do business with them. Everybody. But no one trusts them right now. So when the aliens are getting involved with this, they don't want to be involved in the politics of Earth. They want to do their jobs because they think our politics are ignorant.
They gave us the concept, so they're waiting for it to evolve to a point where they can, be blatant and say, "Hey, here we are," and like land on the White House lawn, as it were.
What are you talking about? A socialist republic? I don't like the word socialist.
See, I remember back in I think the 2020 election, everyone was throwing around the term, or actually, I think it was before that. What was that? 2016.
2016.
People were throwing around the term democratic socialist.
Bernie Sanders was part of the race then.
Yeah, that's when that term became popular.
Yeah. But the thing, none of it's going to work because we've tried. All these governments are active on this planet right now, and none of them seem to be republic. The democracy is a damn good government, but it has issues it needs to work on, especially
it has the corruption issues that need to be. I mean,
and then communism is far more corrupt.
Point them out to everybody, but they're there on both sides.
And like the British ones don't work all that great because today I'm listening. So at a certain age, now, I forgot, it's going to be a cutoff date real soon. After that age, you will not be allowed to buy cigarettes. If you do, it could be cost you fines and jail time.
Like there's a cutoff age to smoke now?
No, so they're creating a generation that's smoke free. So let's see, the generation below Z Geners will not be allowed to buy cigarettes ever in the UK, ever.
Wow, that's like prohibition.
That's communism is what that is.
Prohibition
And the problem with that
market.
is it's just going to create a black market. What do you think? Them Turks ain't going to start smuggling some Turkish cigarettes up there? You don't think they? Come on, they're just going to go through the tunnel in France, get some cigarettes, and bring them back.
Well, I mean, not even that. I mean, they can get just raw leaf tobacco and some rolling paper and roll up their own.
Can't buy it. No, none of that can be purchased. They can't even buy a vape. None of that can be purchased.
That's
Nothing.
They'll
at
find
all.
a way to get it. Trust
Oh,
me.
I agree with you. They're going to find a way to get it, but the government says no. What do you mean? You've never seen Leah as a blonde? When did you see her as a blonde? I've seen her as a blonde, but that was like 100 years ago.
Yeah, I used to be blonde.
She used to dress up like what's her name, Marilyn Monroe, with a skeleton on her face. She's insane. You remember that picture? She does. Like she's smiling. She remembers that picture. She was evil,
That was
girl.
just a Halloween time.
She's a bad alien. Girl.
I don't think blonde suits me. Honestly,
No,
I don't think blonde.
Think it does either, but brunettes have more fun anyway.
My eyebrows are too dark for that.
What's that, Jim? No, brunettes have way more fun. We're not gonna go there. It's not that kind of show. No, we got a couple minutes. We got to go though. We're not gonna go a half an hour into Michelle's show because I'll have to hear it. I love Michelle, but I like staying on her good side. Oh no, y'all! Oh no, she does a great job. Oh no, yeah, she's my favorite person these days. We'll do part 2 of this show in the near future, but real quick. So you're born, okay? Your dad get your mama pregnant. About 4 months in, they're gonna come take your mom, and they're gonna have a look around, and then about it, almost maybe a couple weeks before birth, maybe even just a couple of days, they're gonna take you again. They actually remove the baby from inside, examine it quite well, put it back. And then you have the baby, and usually within a few days of you having the baby, they're going to take you and the baby, and then after that, they're going to probably take the baby without you a few times, and then they'll go back to taking both of y'all again, and then they'll start taking when it gets to be a child, they'll take the child sometimes without you, and sometimes with you, so it's going to vary, and then all that stuff though is pretty nonchalant, nothing bad's going on. The aliens are pretty laid back. And like we said, puberty is going to hit. Now, I really believe from my own research that it seems like they're doing less and less evasive experiments as time progresses. Because they've been doing this a long time. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of years. It depends whose clock you want to use. But no matter what, at least thousands of years. So I think some of their programs have come to a head and they don't need to do them anymore. So some of that stuff's not being done. Some of it, they just like to test our evolution. And that's one of the ways they do it, and our humanity and things like that. So that's one of the ways they do it, and how our bodies stressing and designing as we age and as we become a more advanced species. So I think they keep an eye on all that. And of course, like I said, when you from puberty to about 28, it's pretty rough. It's not always rough, but there's a lot that goes on. I mean, not all of it's bad. Like I said, some are bad, some of it's not. So you're dealing with all those memories, and they're coming out in different ways. And if you find the right person to talk to, or if you marry someone who's not an ass, you can probably work through most of this. Just having someone to talk to helps. Having someone that knows what you're going through is a whole different thing. It can help much more. And then after about 28 to 30, contact changes. So from 30 to about 35, they're actually evaluating you to see whether you're going to be part of the long-term program or you're going to stop being taken at that point. Now, they're going to still take your kids, mind you, but they're not going to take you anymore. So, like with Daryl Sims, they decided around 35, 40, he wasn't a useful part of the program. He wanted to hunt aliens. He didn't want to help aliens, so they didn't use him anymore. But a lot of people become keepers, which are people who help work along the agendas to make it easier for the humans and the human children and the aliens all to coexist and for things to go in a better way for everybody. It makes it just better for everybody.
Part of the transition team, if you would.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. So those humans will be contactees until they die. Those are the ones that will probably be taken off world because they've shown their worth. Yeah, see, that's the difference. They've shown their worth and what they can be in the future. And they show that they want to help not just themselves, but humanity and everyone else along with it. Not just humanity, but the aliens as well. So that's the kind of people they really want. Well, I'm not saying they've never been evil or they can't be evil, because they can be. It's just, in our case, you take them by the actions. They haven't enlightened us, but they haven't wiped us out either. So it's more along the lines of, we're waiting to see which way it's going to go. And they kind of nudge us, rub you in the head. That's why Leah's hair's all messed up, because they were rubbing on her head last night. I'm just messing with you, Leah. It's what's that? No, but really, I mean, so you get into those areas and it changes once you become part of the system. Whether it's a communicator, someone out there spreading the word, someone out there meeting abductees and talking to them, someone who's working with the contactees in everyday life, and somebody who's working with them on board the ships. All of those people get to stay, and they find those people pretty quickly, because usually in their 20s, even when the bad stuff's going on, a lot of times they're kind of more interested and fascinated with what's going on than what's happening. They get in their 30s, they're just really fascinated, because now there's no bad stuff and it's all just question, learn. And then they finally get access to the big ship, or they remember getting access to the big ship. And then everything changes, because once you're on board the big ship, first you see all kind of stuff you just didn't even know existed or could even exist. And then you get access to not just how equipment works, but just endless knowledge. If you've got a host boarding bod, you can fill that damn thing up for eons. There's just tons of terabytes. It's not like our brain. Our brain will get overstuffed. That's why sometimes contactees have partial memories when they come back, because they've been learning stuff. So what happens is the key phrase is in your head, but the information is either stored in the bank of that computer, on the ship, or on the host body. So when you two are together, the keyword phrase goes off and the information is released. Yeah, it's like the downloads they give us. Yeah. That's why the downloads have to be open packages. Sometimes it's just too much for our brain to take at one time. Yeah, nobody gets a full download and open automatically. It would kill them. It'd just be too much for them. Well, and it's not always needed right away. Some of the stuff may come in later on. Maybe if you have a baby or become a parent, or maybe if you get into the field or stuff like that, you might get other information that you might not necessarily need it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
They might give Jay the keys to the spaceship, take a ride that weekend or something,
Yep.
Benefits to good contactees, yes. What do you mean, have I ridden in a spaceship? I've ridden in a F-18 Hornet and an F-6 Intruder. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. I was quite impressed too, man. You know how when you get your first fast car and you punch it and put you back in the seat? Yeah, that F-18 on just puts you back there, just keeps you there. You're not even. You're like, oh yeah, man, this is.
You
cool.
can try to sit forward. Oh no!
The guy, I remember the pilot says, "Can you reach that button right there? It's flashing." I said, "Do I have to?" He said, "Yeah, you have to. Or it's going to kill us." I was like straining to get up there, and I'm in peak condition at the time. I finally get to the button. Bleak. He said, "Okay, we're okay." It was that shit was fun. He was messing with me too, by the way. But we got to go. Any other serious questions? Really? No, none of that stuff I keep seeing by going by my screen. Nice group that stopped in the chat with us tonight too.
Yeah.
Who? Oh no. So okay, real quick. So we're going to be talking about the Sinclair line. So anyway, this week's Friday's guest is going to be John Goodwin, because they're hosting the Christmas parade in Los Angeles. They do every year. Writers of the Future does. So he's going to be on with us talking about that both on Friday and Saturday on the Office Quill. So y'all can come by, and on the first hour, we're going to be talking about that. And then the second hour, we're going to be prepping y'all for the following week's show, which is going to be about Jesus and his family. And I'm going to say this again politely. This is not about the mythical religious figure. This is about Jesus, the man, and
the
his
historical
family.
Jesus, not the mythological.
All we're trying to do on this show, we're not trying to convert any religious people. We're just trying to show people that this man existed at this time. And not only did he did that, but that he was involved with other high-ranking people in the area at this time. Y'all think y'all can handle that? I know somebody's going to have to get religious. I can hear it now. And you can say, praise the Lord. Look, you say whatever you want, but we're not going to let you on the show if you do. Just that's all we're looking for. Know this. If you're a Christian, you should want shows like this. Or if you're a Muslim, well, not a Muslim, but Jewish? Nah, not really. They're not big Jesus fans either. Neither are Muslims. But if you're a Christian,
they recognize that he exists, but they don't believe that he was a Messiah.
And see, that's another thing. Both the Muslims and the Jews talk about Jesus' existence. So that's another set of information. But for Christians, you should want this because this helps those people out on the fence realize, oh wow, this man really was real. He was a real person. So it makes it much easier to swallow other things completely in somebody's communicator. They call him Jesus. No, anyway, we got to go. But that show is going to be a good show. Be on your best behavior for. We appreciate it. Be sure to come by and check us out with John Goodwin, president of Galaxy Press. He'll be hanging out. I'll be giving some books away for free.
Yeah, he's a good dude and a good interview, so it'll be a good show.
Yeah, he's always fun. He knows a world of shit. He just got back. He was over in Germany. He just got home.
Yeah, Frankfurt.
Yes, he travels all over the place. And, I'll ask him next time where he's going to be. I know he's got to go down. I know he goes to Tampa, to Dragon Con, to SpaceX and some stuff. Not SpaceX, to Utah, to FanX and some stuff in between. And then, of course, there's the parade, some other stuff. And then Emily's out there. Sometimes he goes to the Western, but most of the time the girls go out there, which is Emily and Sarah. There has a week-long Western concert thing out and a book thing out in Las Vegas they all go to and hang out. Yippee-ki-yay is all I got to say. Yeah. Anyway, we got to go. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to United Public Radio. Be sure to come by and hang out with us Friday night and see what kind of trouble we're going to get into. We will be talking about Christy on the show Friday night in her politics. No, I'm just teasing. I just seen her pop up at the bottom of the screen down there. We will be talking on the second hour probably a little bit about Trump's picks, how the people are feeling about the election. Of course, we'll have some fun with some of our friend Democrats who are wailing and screaming all over TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. That's always fun to watch, and things like that. And well, I don't hold nothing until something happens. He's not even president yet, so I can't even make a decision. I can say things like, "Oh, it's the day he took office, Hezbollah basically surrendered." Yeah, and gas down here went from $3 a gallon to $2 a gallon, and food dropped by 14%. In fact, I was talking with the owner of the Claiborne Hill down here. He said, "Oh yeah, because it was anticipation of Trump." So he's not even in office yet, and he's making a change. So let's give the man a chance. And if he f's up, then know it here on News on the Flip Side. We will let you know. Don't even worry if he does something crazy or stupid or bad. I was going to use a retarded word, but bad. We will let y'all know. Nothing more than we like it, tearing up somebody. Jay loves it. Oh, yeah, he loves tearing them up, man. So does Sean. Sean gets riled up. Leah just gets mean. She just hits him in the head with clubs and shit. She's an ex-Marine. Y'all better watch it. She's going to get loose on y'all one night. I ain't going to be able to stop her, man. I ain't going to be able to stop her. Anyway, we got to go, guys and girls. I want to thank everyone for tuning into United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. Be sure to check out Leah and Jay and Joe and whoever joins us on Thursdays on Wednesdays and Fridays. And just hang out and let's go on. Y'all are allowed to come in. If you want to get into the chat, you are allowed to get on the stage with us. You just, as long as you're a regular and we know who you are, we can send you a link and you can pop in with the rest of us. Yeah. And we don't mind. Everybody's losing her mind. Bad girl up there. What's that? No, we got to go there, really. I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to United Public Radio. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Don't forget, right now on the air is the the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Passano, causing nothing but trouble, wreaking havoc. God only knows what's going on up there in Canada. Them people are crazy, man. On that note, good night, and we will see y'all Friday, everybody.